All right, everybody, buckle up because today we are diving into something pretty wild. We're talking high school, but not just any high school, Swedish high school.
That's right.
And get this, in Sweden, high schoolers actually get paid to go to class.
Yeah.
Wild, right? Like a straight up stipend just for showing up.
It's a really interesting system.
It really is. And we're going to unpack all of it today, so stick with us. So we've got some sources lined up that break down how this whole thing works, why Sweden does it, and, all the juicy details.
It's definitely a unique approach, and it gets at some pretty core values they have over there.
Please.
This idea of a strong social safety net and a real commitment to education, like baked right in. In fact, one of the things that jumped out from the speech you sent me was how Sweden is always talked about as having this excellent education system that's really focused on student welfare.
Yeah, excellent education and student welfare. Those are definitely phrases you love to hear when we're talking about, the younger generation.
Yeah.
Okay, but enough teasing. Let's get down to brass tacks here.
Right.
How much are we talking about? What's the magic number?
So from what I'm seeing here, Swedish high school students get a monthly allowance of 187 US dollars.
Wow.
Just for being enrolled, not tied to grades or anything like
Man,
that.
I could have used an extra $187 back in my high school days, that's for sure. But I'm guessing there's got to be more to this story, right? Like, what's the method behind the madness?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's not just about giving teenagers spending money, though I'm sure they don't mind.
Right.
The deeper idea is to completely eliminate, or at least drastically reduce, any financial barriers to education.
I see.
So the thinking is that everyone, regardless of their family's income, whether they're rich or poor, should have an equal opportunity to get a good education.
Makes sense.
And if you look at it in the bigger picture of Swedish society, with their focus on social support and evening the playing field, this kind of system makes a lot of sense.
So Sweden's really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to education. That's really interesting. But what about the other side of the coin? There's always another side, right?
Of course, yeah. There are always different perspectives and potential downsides to consider.
Yeah.
Like, one thing the sources didn't really get into is how this might affect how students view the value of education itself. Does getting paid to go to class make them appreciate it less? Or could it make them feel like it's something they have to do rather than something they want to do? It's hard to say without more research, and it's definitely something to think about.
That's a really good point. Like, does it create a sense of entitlement or even, I don't know, maybe a sense of dependence on the system?
Exactly.
Interesting. See, this is what I love about these deep dives, such thought-provoking stuff. It really makes you wonder, though, could a system like this work in other countries?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Oh.
I mean, it works for Sweden, but every country is different.
Right.
It makes you think about those comparisons we see all the time, like in the U.S., where so many students end up drowning in debt from college.
It's true.
This system really throws those differences into sharp relief.
Absolutely. And it raises all sorts of other questions, too. What's the role of government in education? How do we create more opportunities for people to move up in the world, socially and economically? So many big ideas stemming from this one system.
It's a good reminder that even something as seemingly straightforward as paying kids to go to school can open up a whole can of worms,
Totally. And you know what? That's exactly what we like to do here. Unpack those complex issues and hopefully leave you with more questions than answers.
Exactly.
So that's the Swedish approach to high school funding in a nutshell.
Fascinating stuff.
Definitely makes you think, right? And that's your cue to take over. What other questions popped up for you? What are your thoughts on this whole system? We want to hear from you. Keep those brain gears turning because there's always more to discover. Until next time.